So, FHFA wants less distortion. Translation: lower targets, 21% for low-income purchases, 3.5% for very low income, plus simpler rules. Clean on paper. Here's the thing. When the enterprises compete less for your loan, private capital and FHA/HFA step in. But not always on your terms. Think fewer pricing waivers, less flexibility, and a higher chance your loan gets rerouted to a lane with tolls. I'll break down how a benchmark tweak becomes a monthly bill you didn't plan for, and where the real bottlenecks show up: approvals, pricing, and limited inventory. Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like the video. You hear less distortion. Your lender hears fewer loans will sell to Fannie and Freddie. Guess who bridges that gap? You do, with a pricier loan and a bigger monthly nut. Let's break it down. The low-income purchase goal drops from 25% to 21%. Very low income goes from 6% to 3.5%. 4 points here, 2.5 there. Looks like a rounding error. But here's the catch. When quotas shrink, the choosiness grows. The loans that barely made the cut stop getting green-lighted on the same terms, and that tiny policy nudge becomes a shove toward programs with more fees. Think of your mortgage options like lanes on a highway. Conventional with enterprise backing is the express lane. Then FHFA cones off part of it. Traffic doesn't disappear. Its squeeze merges into the FHA and VA lanes, where the speed limit is lower and the tolls aren't optional. You still get to the house, sure, but you arrive with a lighter wallet and a few new rules you didn't ask for. The stated reason is to tamp down market distortions and stop crowding out FHA, state housing finance agencies, and private capital. Translation for your wallet: fewer pricing waivers, fewer special case approvals, and more loans nudged out of the enterprise box. Lenders read the room. If they can't sell a borderline file to the enterprises easily, they push it where the appetite still exists. Here's what that looks like on a real file. Say you've got a 680 FICO, 45% debt to income, thin reserves, and a small down payment. That used to thread the needle on a conventional grid with tight pricing. Now, with lower targets and less flex, that file is primed to be steered FHA. Not because you suddenly became riskier, but because the buyer pool for your loan shrank behind the scenes. And FHA isn't free. The upfront mortgage insurance premium plus the annual MIP stacks onto your payment. On a modest purchase, that combo can add roughly $150 to $300 a month compared to a conventional loan where loan-level price adjustments are capped, and the MI can cancel. Let that sink in. That's a car payment, a week of groceries, or your streaming bundle plus a gym membership you pretend you'll use. So your conventional pre-approval? It still prints, but the real decision happens at pricing. If fewer loans clear enterprise grids, that approval quietly morphs into FHA with strings. Longer insurance tail, stricter property checks, and less control over when costs drop off. You don't get an alert that says policy change surcharge. You just feel it in the monthly. This is why a 4-point benchmark cut isn't academic. It changes who competes for your loan. When the big buyers step back, the remaining lanes charge more and move slower, and your payment balloons even if your income didn't. That's the bill. Next up is the paperwork trap. The part where speed evaporates, exceptions get scarce, and deadlines start slipping. If the sticker shock stung, the approval maze is where it really bites. You'll feel it in longer turn times and sudden hard stops. Files that used to get a cautious maybe start hitting a clean no. It's real, it's happening. On paper, the rules look simpler. FHFA strips out measurement buffers and rolls a bunch of area-based subgoals together. Fewer knobs, fewer dials. But here's the catch: fewer carve-outs. When the scorecard tightens, underwriters stop coloring outside the lines. The gray area shrinks, and your loan lives or dies by the box it fits today, not the nuance you could once argue. That shift kills exception pricing and waivers. So lenders lean on manual underwrites and overlays, and the path of least resistance becomes FHA. FHA works until it doesn't. If your profile has a quirk, the safety lane turns into a speed bump parade, and every bump costs you time and leverage. Take condos. Spot approvals that used to be a quick check now tripwires. Or income that isn't W-2 clean. Think gig work, per diem, tips, or seasonal bonuses. Thin credit files with solid rent history used to get a workaround. Conventional could flex with a compensating factor. Now overlays ask for more reserves, more letters of explanation, more everything. Or they push you to FHA, where the overlays can be even thicker depending on the lender. Here's the operational reality. FHA assigns a case number. You wait. The appraisal has different conditions. If the condo project isn't on the approved list, you chase that. A week becomes 2. 2 becomes 3. Sellers stare at the calendar and your offer starts to look like a problem. In a tight market, speed wins. You just got slower. There's a weird split too. When refinance waves fade, the share of low-income refis doesn't vanish because the math can still work for payment reduction. But on purchases, liquidity tightens as the enterprises prioritize safety and capital. That means fewer marginal files sliding through quickly on conventional and more running the gauntlet somewhere else with more friction. And then the down payment assistance stacks. State FHFA programs often pair best with conventional when pricing holds. You get cancelable mortgage insurance, cleaner execution, and smoother docs. Less appetite from the enterprises snaps those stacks in half. Now the same buyer is trying to layer DPA on FHA, and the overlays get heavy. Some lenders won't stack them at all. Others will, but only with extra conditions that slow everything down. None of this changed your income. It changed your odds. Lower targets narrowed the gate, so the probability of a fast, clean approval dropped. Same borrower, same house, different timeline. And time is money when you're locking a rate, scheduling movers, and trying not to lose the house to a cash buyer. So here's the mini payoff. More friction means fewer accepted offers, more extension fees, and a higher time tax you pay in stress, reinspection costs, and blown rate locks. So why is FHFA fine with that trade? They're defending the balance sheet. Let's follow the money. A few percentage points in DC can raise your payment, slow your approval, and box your choices without ever saying fee. That's the invisible tax. It slides in through program shifts and shows up as higher all-in cost. So, fight back. Build a 5 to 7 year cost checklist. Upfronts, monthly, mortgage insurance timelines, and exit plans. Compare FHA versus conventional. Ask every lender about pricing exceptions. Get timelines and cost breakdowns in writing. Like this video so the algorithm thinks I'm important. Subscribe because someday you'll want to escape. Your move. Comment, invisible tax is real, or safety first at my expense. Which side are you on?